It's 2:17 in the morning. Mike Rivers slices through the container seal with surgical precision, his headlamp illuminating stacks of vacuum-sealed cash. $6.4 million in criminal money. The storm above deck masks any sound as he swaps real bills for sand-filled decoy bags. By dawn, he'll vanish from the MV Esperanza forever. Waves crash over the deck. His flashlight cuts through the darkness. The captain thinks it's a normal night. The guards don't suspect a thing. But one wrong move and Mike's plan and his life could be over in seconds. Before we dive into the full story, hit that subscribe button and smash the like. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss how Mike pulls this off. Millions on the line, cartels involved, and one man who outsmarted them all. Ready? Let's go. Mike's hands shake as he cuts through the container seal. Inside, stacks of vacuum-sealed cash bundles, more money than he's ever seen in his life. $6.4 million in criminal organization money, and he has exactly 8 minutes before the next security round. Storm waves crash over the deck above, metal groaning under pressure. His headlamp beam cuts through darkness, illuminating rows of cash. Radio chatter in Spanish crackles from his walkie, criminal communications. Sweat mixes with sea spray on his face despite the cold Caribbean wind. Every sound could be footsteps approaching. Mike works with surgical precision, removing bundles from specific locations. He replaces each stack with sand-filled decoy bags of identical weight. His Navy training keeps him calm while adrenaline floods his system. 6 minutes remaining, then 4, then 2. Footsteps echo in the corridor. Security guard Carlos is early for his rounds. Mike has 30 seconds to finish and disappear, but one bundle won't fit properly. Does he risk everything for an extra $200,000 or leave evidence that could expose the entire operation? Mike forces the bundle into place, reseals the container, and slips into the shadows just as Carlos's flashlight beam sweeps the area. The guard stops, sensing something's wrong, but the storm covers any evidence. Mike holds his breath in the darkness, knowing that in 6 hours he'll either be a millionaire or a dead man. But to understand how Mike Rivers, a simple deckhand making $47,000 a year, ended up stealing millions from the most dangerous criminal organization in South America, we need to go back 8 months earlier. Mike noticed the black container during his regular inspection rounds on the MV Esperanza. Unlike other containers, it was always loaded last, removed first, and never opened for customs inspection. Armed guards in civilian clothes watched every movement. Using his Navy training and supply chain analysis, Mike started tracking patterns. The container appeared every third voyage. Always the same weight, 2,847 kilograms exactly. Loaded at night in Cartagena, removed at dawn in Miami, different paperwork every time. Sometimes agricultural equipment, sometimes textiles. During his night watch, Mike overheard radio chatter in Spanish between the ship's corrupt officers and shore contacts. His Navy Spanish was rusty but good enough. La carga especial está segura. The special cargo is secure. Mike started documenting everything. He took photos of loading procedures using his legitimate work phone. He mapped security camera coverage during night shifts. He timed guard rotations and identified when the container area was unmonitored. He recorded radio frequencies used for criminal communications. The container's weight never varied, despite supposedly carrying different products. Mike's logistics training told him this wasn't random merchandise. It was something specific, valuable, and consistent. While checking the container's exterior during a storm, Mike noticed something the guards missed. A tiny hole in the seal, barely visible. Someone had been inside this container before. Taking advantage of a severe storm that disabled exterior cameras, Mike used his master key to access the container area. The ship's rolling motion covered any sound as he carefully broke the seal. Inside, he found the truth. Millions in cash, vacuum-sealed and packed in military-grade containers. Stacks of $100 bills in perfect bundles. Serial numbers suggested multiple sources across the U.S. Professional packaging indicated this was return flow, illegal money heading back to Colombia. Each container held approximately $3 to $5 million. Mike realized he'd discovered a crucial part of the criminal organization's money laundering pipeline. Cash from illegal operations got transported back to South America. The ship's legitimate cargo provided perfect cover. Corrupt port officials ensured no inspections. Multiple containers spread across different voyages minimized risk. Mike began planning his theft. He calculated total value, approximately $4.2 million this trip. Security Chief Carlos Mendez started irregular patrols, forcing Mike to be more careful. Mike spent weeks preparing decoy bags and studying timing patterns. On the next voyage carrying the black container, Mike put his plan into action. He disabled specific security cameras during routine maintenance. He timed his access during the 4 a.m. guard shift change. He brought professional tools disguised as standard maintenance equipment. He wore gloves and clothing that wouldn't leave traces. Mike executed his first theft with military precision. He accessed the container during a 15-minute window. He removed exactly 3 bundles from different locations. He replaced them with decoy packages of identical weight and size. He resealed the container using professional tools. He hid the real money in legitimate ship equipment storage. $1.2 million stolen. The theft went unnoticed because decoy packages felt identical to security checks. Weight remained exactly the same. Mike's legitimate duties provided perfect cover for being in the area. No one suspected a deckhand would have the skills or knowledge. Mike waited through the entire voyage to see if anyone noticed. When the container was unloaded in Miami without incident, he knew his method worked perfectly. Mike felt a rush not from the money itself, but from successfully executing such a complex operation. He'd proven he could outsmart dangerous criminals using pure intelligence and planning. During unloading in Miami, Mike overheard a heated Spanish conversation between criminal organization representatives. Someone mentioned discrepancies in internal investigation. Had someone noticed the missing money? 2 months later, Mike executed a more ambitious plan and stole $3.5 million. He improved his methods and recruited Tommy Chen, a crane operator in Miami. Working with Tommy, they stole $4.8 million using sophisticated decoys and fake businesses. Mike intercepted radio communications indicating the criminal organization suspected internal theft. They were conducting inventory checks on returned money. Security protocols were being upgraded. Some crew members were being investigated. The timeline suggested Mike had limited opportunities remaining. Carlos Mendez announced a surprise inspection of all containers on the next voyage. Mike realized his window was closing and had to plan one final, massive theft before enhanced security made future operations impossible. Mike learned through intercepted communications that the criminal organization had hired external security consultants to investigate money losses. They suspected an inside job but hadn't identified the specific method. Mike's contract ended in 6 weeks, giving him exactly 2 more voyages to execute his final theft. After that, he'd disappear forever or risk getting caught in the investigation. Mike prepared his most ambitious operation. He studied the largest cash shipment of the year, approximately $6.4 million. He identified that this container would be loaded in Venezuela, his last stop. He planned a complete disappearance strategy, including new identity documents. He established an extraction route through multiple countries. Tommy brought in Maria Santos, a customs officer who could provide intelligence. Maria revealed federal agents were investigating unusual shipping patterns. She provided information about upcoming inspections and investigations. She warned that both cartel and federal heat was increasing. She agreed to help with the final operation in exchange for substantial payment. Multiple threats emerged simultaneously. Carlos Mendez installed additional security cameras. Federal agents began asking questions about crew members. Criminal organization security consultants arrived to review all operations. Other crew members reported unusual activities during night shifts. Mike realized this was his only chance. Failed operation meant prison or death. Successful operation meant freedom and wealth beyond imagination. Stakes had never been higher. His professional reputation as an undetectable thief was on the line. Maria provided crucial information. The container would be loaded at night during a skeleton crew shift. Security protocols would be relaxed due to holiday scheduling. Federal agents planned a major raid the following week. This was literally the last possible opportunity. As Mike finalized his plans, he discovered that Carlos Mendez had been secretly photographing him during his night rounds. Time was running out faster than he realized, which brings us back to that stormy night at 2:17 a.m. Mike initiated his final operation during a fierce Caribbean storm. He used storm cover to disable specific security systems at 2:15 a.m. He accessed the black container using his master key at 2:17 a.m. He began systematic removal of cash bundles at 2:19 a.m. He discovered the container held more money than expected. $6.4 million total at 2:25 a.m. Mike executed with military precision. He removed exactly half the money to avoid immediate detection. He replaced it with perfectly weighted decoys. He used storm noise to mask any sounds. He completed the operation in under 12 minutes. He resealed the container with professional equipment. Unexpected complications arose. Carlos Mendez began an unscheduled security round at 2:30 a.m. The storm damaged the ship's communication system, creating chaos at 2:32 a.m. Tommy's contact at the port was delayed by weather at 2:35 a.m. Another crew member reported hearing unusual noises from the cargo area at 2:40 a.m. When complications arose, Mike adapted. He used storm damage to explain any evidence of tampering. He hid money in legitimate cargo containers bound for different ports. He created a false emergency requiring crew attention elsewhere. He exploited the communication breakdown to avoid immediate questions. With money secured, Mike implemented his disappearance strategy. He transferred stolen cash to Tommy's vehicle during loading chaos. He planted a tracking device in the cartel container for federal agents. He submitted resignations citing family emergency. He activated his pre-planned extraction route through Caribbean islands. Carlos became suspicious when he found evidence of tampering with security cameras. Mike's shift reports didn't match other crew observations. There was unusual activity in cargo areas during his supervision. Tools were missing that could be used for container access. As Mike prepared to leave the ship permanently, Carlos called criminal organization security consultants. Federal agents received an anonymous tip about container locations. Port security noticed unusual personnel movements. Other crew members reported Mike's suspicious behavior. Mike left behind evidence proving his intellectual superiority. He provided detailed documentation of cartel operations for federal agents. He left proof of corrupt port officials and crew members. He created a complete map of the money laundering pipeline. He ensured criminal organization leadership would face serious federal charges. As Mike walked off the MV Esperanza for the final time, carrying fake identity documents and extraction plans, Carlos Mendez made a phone call to someone speaking Spanish. "We have a problem. I think I know who's been stealing from us." The tracking device Mike planted led federal agents to a massive discovery: $47 million in criminal organization money across multiple containers. Complete documentation of an international money laundering operation. Evidence of corrupt officials in 6 different countries. Proof of connection between shipping companies and criminal organizations. Learning about federal raids, criminal organization leadership realized the scope of compromise. Mike's theft was small compared to federal seizure of the entire operation. His evidence had destroyed their primary money transfer pipeline. Multiple arrests warranted immediate revenge. Professional enforcement teams were deployed to find and eliminate Mike. Federal agents pieced together Mike's operation. They reviewed security footage showing subtle patterns in his behavior. They interviewed crew members who noticed unusual activities. They tracked money laundering through legitimate maritime businesses. They discovered his sophisticated knowledge of international shipping law. Under federal pressure, Tommy chose to cooperate with the FBI and enter witness protection. Maria revealed she'd been an undercover federal agent. Her real mission was investigating criminal organization shipping operations. Mike's theft had accelerated the timeline for federal intervention. She had complete records of his activities and methods. An international manhunt began. Mike used his maritime knowledge to stay ahead of both federal agents and criminal enforcement teams. The story broke internationally. Deckhand steals millions from criminal organization. Maritime heist exposes billion-dollar money laundering operation. Federal raids seize record amount of illegal money. Public opinion was divided between viewing Mike as criminal or folk hero. Mike arrived at a safe house in Belize, only to discover someone had been there before him. On the table was a photo of him leaving the ship and a note in Spanish: "We know where you are." Federal agents reached Mike's location minutes before the criminal enforcement team. A confrontation erupted during the extraction operation. Mike used maritime knowledge to escape via speedboat. Federal agents were injured protecting him during the operation. An international incident was created when the chase crossed territorial waters. Mike entered witness protection, facing constant threats and complete identity change. Mike's testimony destroyed criminal organization operations and led to convictions of 23 criminal organization leaders. The maritime security industry was completely transformed. Mike's testimony led to convictions. 23 criminal organization leaders were sentenced to life in prison. $2.3 billion in assets were seized and returned to victims. Maritime security protocols were completely overhauled. Tommy and Maria received commendations for cooperation. The federal judge delivered an unexpected ruling. No charges were filed due to cooperation and evidence provided. Witness protection status was made permanent. Mike was offered a position as federal maritime security consultant. The $15.9 million was returned to the Federal Drug Seizure Fund. Mike Rivers became Michael Sterling, director of Maritime Crime Prevention Unit. He used criminal knowledge to stop future operations. He trained federal agents in container security. He never returned to sea but saved countless lives. 3 years later, Mike reviewed a seized container manifest at his federal office. The same black container from MV Esperanza now sat in the evidence warehouse, permanently marked Exhibit A, the case that broke the criminal organization. His nameplate read, Michael Sterling, the man who turned $15.9 million theft into $2.3 billion justice. An anonymous letter arrived at Mike's office containing coordinates. The GPS location led to a buried criminal organization money cache worth $8 million. Apparently, there were more containers he never found. Mike called federal agents. Some secrets stay buried forever, but justice always finds a way. Subscribe if you think sometimes breaking the law is the only way to expose the truth. Hit that like button if you believe Mike Rivers was a hero, not a criminal. And tell me in the comments, if you discovered your co-workers were stealing millions while people suffered, would you have the courage to do what Mike did? Your answer might surprise you.